It's a really exciting time for us. So we're getting ready for a show July 29th with the men's chorus, with West Sound Chorus. So yeah, my section actually is doing exceptionally well. And we use to address your tuning thing, we use the TE tuner quite a bit. So I encourage that.
As do I.
Me.
All right. Excellent. Kathy.
I'm Kathy Davis, bass section leader, along with Sue Vincent with Pride of Portland. Well, our challenge right now is everybody's on vacation, and some of our basses are on leave of absence. It's summertime, and the whole attitude right now for a lot of people is, hey, we finished with regional, and we're not really, and we are going to international, yay. Even though we took second in regional, AJOY is going with another, they're going with the open division. So we, Pride of Portland, actually get to go to international in 2024.
Congratulations.
Anyway, so yeah, keeping in pitch is very, well, we're focusing on that. So focusing on our emotions, and we definitely use TE tuner all the time. So, and we've had a couple coaches, and one of them was telling us about the wave and trying to go wave up and get into arcs. So we're working on that, and it just helps with emotion. So yeah, so far so good, and we are getting more people. Good. We've lost people, but we're getting hopefully more bases.
I hear you there. All righty. Sharon, you're next on my screen.
I'm Sharon Stockstead. I sing with Helen Express Singers. I'm the bass section leader. My biggest frustration is people not learning their notes and words outside of the sectional, and then we have to try to work through that. And so it eliminates a lot of time being able to do other things like unit sound and those kinds of things. That's really frustrating to me, and I don't know what to do about it.
I'm sure none of us have ever had to deal with that at all.
No, I bet.
All right, well, we'll talk about that when I like that. Sonia.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Sonia Maylander, bass section leader for Song of Seattle chorus. I'm not sure I've got a biggest struggle coming to mind at the moment. I feel like our bass section we're pretty unified. I think we feel pretty fortunate, at least for the moment. I think that can ebb and flow. Technically, Song of Seattle is on a 2-month. We take the summer off. So we kind of tend to play in the open division lane. So we'll take July and August off and resume after Labor Day. So technically on a break, if you will. In general, we have very good section rehearsal sessions, and every once in a while, I'll suggest an extra, maybe in prep of regional, we for sure felt a little bit of our unity lapse. It got away from us as we infused more of the visual communications, right? And that's classic, I think, to every chorus. You feel your sound slip away from you when you are focusing on your showmanship or your visual communications. And that was no different for Song of Seattle here as we work towards May. So there were, I think, 1 or 2 extra sessions with the basses, just to kind of, okay, we got to find our center sound again. We need to really understand what that feels like viscerally and what it sounds like, so we can take that back into a rehearsal with the other 25 members and then put on those visual communications hats again. So pretty fortunate with the basses that I get to sing with. Sorry, I was going to try to, so the TE tuner, yes, agreed, ditto. I'm a fan of singing against the drone. I'll say the electronic pitch pipe. It doesn't work for everyone, and I'm not saying it's the answer for everything, but I had a lot of years as a lead, and now let's say knocking on 7 years as a bass. And I've done it since my early days with Pacific Sound Course, way back when Carol Kay was our director. I'm a big fan of singing against the keynote or do or the pitch, and I record myself, and I can hear, I tend to sharp, if anything, but I can hear vowels, so anyway, and I record. So I'm a big fan of not just looking down at the TE tuner, but recording yourself, because so often, right, what we think we're doing is not what's out here. So, okay, I'll be quiet and make sure others are introducing themselves, etc. I'll circle back around as needed.
Excellent. Deb.
Hello, I'm Deb Mason with Alaska Sound Celebration in Anchorage, and I'm the co-bass section leader. And you know, some of the things people have already said today, certainly those raise their heads at various times. We're working on using a bel canto methodology for singing. So probably my focus right now is trying to help us all learn how to keep that lift, the structural lift consistent throughout our singing, because that's where we're having the problems. You know, we can keep that bel canto lift, but then we lose it and we don't keep that space. So that's the part that I'm focusing on currently in my section.
Interesting. I hope that you have a chance to tell us more about that. Great. Peg.
I'm Peg Faithful with Alaska Sound Celebration. I'm the baritone section leader. So good to see you, Deb. We, as Deb mentioned, and she is one of our key bel canto experts. This is something we're always trying to keep foremost in whatever we do, to always bring ourselves back. If we're doing choreography and concentrating on that, we try to bring ourselves back with lots of reminders. I pretty much the whole chorus is focused on this, of course, in fits and spurts, but it's been a really good thing for us, and something that we are starting to talk about now more seriously is in the music team is our mental game. We realize that the mental, of course, is a huge part of what we do whenever you're in a performance mode. And so we're trying to get our arms around how to help each other and help the chorus kind of have a common sense of purpose and a common approach to the mental game.
Excellent. That is something I would love to talk more about as well, simply because we all deal with that, whether it be too much excitement or not enough excitement or terrified or whatever it might be happening in people's minds. I think having a sense of it up front is huge. That's fabulous. Thank you, Peg. Candace.
Hi, I'm Candace Moret. Hi, Sandy. I'm the tenor section leader in Acapella Sound Stations Chorus. Woo! I'm new to this position and I'm new to the chorus, so I'm getting used to the management and the music team, all the rules and regulations and how to go about this and that and who to talk to when you need some information. So I'm just kind of floundering around with that, and piece by piece I'm putting it all together. The puzzle's starting to fit a little bit now. We're having weekly rehearsals with my section, so that's been helpful, and I've got some really good gals in the section that's fun to work with, and so I'm just kind of feeling my way through, and I know I'm going to get there pretty soon one of these days.
Sounds like you're doing great. Welcome.
Thank you.
Carol.
Hello. I'm a bit
Hello.
under the weather today.
Oh, sorry.
More of a bass than usual. I've got something going on with my sore throat and things. So I'm just going to be listening a lot today. I'm Carol Ward, bass in Harmony Northwest Chorus, which is up in Mount Vernon, Washington. We have had 3 basses for quite a while, and then one of them moved. So I'm at a point now where I am co-section leader with the other bass, Denise, that's in our chorus. Our big focus right now is going to be on membership. We've lost a few over COVID, and then somebody moved, and so we're hanging in there. We've been doing a lot of performances out in public, and sometimes I'm the only bass, but that's okay. We're having a good time. We're going to have another show, kind of a fall harvest harmony thing going in September. So we're going along. We're at 2 tenors, 4 baritones, 2 basses, and probably about 7 leads, I think, at the moment. So we're pretty small, but we're hanging in there and doing some more membership drive kind of things. I'm very lucky that the other bass that's in my section is an excellent singer, and we don't go flat, which is something that's always been a bugaboo for basses over the years that I've been in. So it's really nice to just be able to sing and not worry about that. But I agree that TE Tuner is a lovely tool for people that are having trouble with that. So I'm just going to listen in for the rest of today, and good to see all of you. Bye.
Great. Well, if you want to add something in chat, feel free, and we'll make sure you're part of the conversation that way, so you don't have to strain your throat anymore. So that is everybody I have on my screen. Did I get everybody? There's nobody lurking on another page. Okay, great. This is, as you can see, not a Zoom facilitator on a regular basis, so working on the technology. So I have a couple of announcements to make before we move on. These are from Shelley. There's going to be a workshop for section leaders and assistant directors and visual communication leaders in November. It's called Together We Can. It will be a virtual workshop on November 17th and 18th. More details will be provided soon. So that's all I know. So if you want to save those dates on your calendar, you can do it in your jammies, but it sounds like Shelley's got something fabulous planned, or is planning something fabulous. So make sure you've got that on your calendar, and let your compatriots know, and your visual leaders and assistant directors, and have a nice big turnout there. And also the other educational opportunity that's coming are your area schools. Is everybody signed up for area schools, I hope, or going to sign up for area schools? They are, I can tell you about the Western Washington one for sure, because my chorus is hosting it. So the Western up north plus north is in Olympia on the 3rd Saturday in August, which is, what is that? It's the 19th. And our faculty are Sandy Cahill and Lucy Henkel. So it should be fabulous. Does anybody else have dates or facilitators for like Alaska or going down south?
Montana's is September 9th. And we have Drew Osterhoff and Elizabeth Davies as our
great.
faculty.
Fabulous. All righty. And I know, yes, and there's one south of us and one in, the one in Alaska is in Fairbanks. I know that.
Yeah.
All right. Those are my announcements. So is there anything in particular that y'all want to discuss today, or that anybody has burning question or wants to share a great success or anything before I move to planned conversation? All right. I'm interested in following up on a couple things y'all were talking about. When you talk about the TE Tuner, I also use that. Have you been successful at getting your individual team members to utilize that. A lot of the strategies I heard were all what I was taking as individual strategies, where somebody has to take responsibility. Back to Sharon's concern about, rehearsing off-site or off practice. Are you using that tool, any of those tools as a unit? And if so, could you tell me more about that? Or figuring out how to get people to use them at home? Kathy?
Yeah, we actually, for the summer, we actually are having, during our rehearsals, we are having like an hour's classes. And one of the classes is TE Tuner. And a lot, as well as how to rehearse at home, and a lot of the members are conducting the classes themselves for the entire chorus. We haven't had the TE Tuner one yet, but I think next week or the week after we will be having it. And so that's going to be exciting. A lot of people, I mean, there's so many, buttons and stuff, like, how do you really use it?
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, looking forward to that. So yeah, we are having some classes during
think,
rehearsals.
Do you think that your group would be willing to share some of your?
Probably,
Really?
yeah. Check with Drew.
Yeah, because
He's over at International right now for
yes, he is
Men's Barbershop.
singing his little heart out.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I love the idea of sharing some of those sorts of things. I think we all do amazing things by ourselves, and we don't do as good a job as we could of sharing them personally. I would love, because I don't know who might want it. So
I'll check with him.
that'd be great. Yeah, I think those kinds, that sounds fabulous, and especially a great opportunity to use your summer days and maybe help with the summer attitude, the summer doldrums we were talking about too, to help people get a little more excited. Anybody else have any advice on some of that stuff?
I was told that TE Tuner is a great tool, but not to rely on it, singing at it all the time, because you also want to have your voice have freedom, and it can impede that. So, it's a tool to use appropriately, not to use 100%.
Yeah. Yes, if all you're worrying about is getting that little smiley face, no matter what the tone might be, that might not be all that helpful. All right. You do. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anything else that anybody else wanted to follow up on from what other folks said? Okay. Well, the question that Shelley asked, there's a couple, oh, there you go. I got in front of myself. I already asked to share a specific challenge you would like assistance with, but share something that you have found works well when working with your section or chorus. And I know you've all talked a little about that. And if there's anything in particular you would like education on, those are the things that she wanted to make sure we chatted about today. So I'm just going to throw it out there versus, so let's talk a little bit about the things there's something in particular that's worked well for you, Deb?
Yeah, so this is something that I hadn't really done section wide before, but our chorus is learning a new ballad, and Peggy threw us a sectional right away. So, like, nobody's had a chance to really listen to it much, or really learn it or anything. So it's like, well, what do you do in a sectional when nobody really even knows the song? So one of the, we work with Deborah Lynn, and so one of the things that she's been kind of hounding me on is, when I learn the music, don't learn the words, learn the tune and sing it on knee. So we, in our sectional, sang the first page on knee like 3 times, and then we sang it with the words, and then we went to the next page and did the same thing, and it was tremendously helpful. And I got some feedback from the director, from the singers, saying, wow, I could actually hear where those notes were supposed to be going in my own voice without having the complication of vowels and diphthongs, etc. And that was the purpose of it. And the reason for the knee is the E gets you into that kind of more forward space that we want to be in our barbershop. So I just thought I'd share that because it was more successful than I thought it would be. And I had better reactions to it than I thought I would.
So in that same sectional, do you go back and do the words, or do you just do the knee initially and then come back
Yeah.
and-
No, I went back and did words. We did the first page on knee like two or three times, and then the words on the first page, and then we did each page that way, and then we went back and did the whole song with words, and then we were out of time.
Yeah, as always. Okay, that's interesting. I like that. Sandy?
I just want to follow up on that a little bit. We've started just recently, last six, few tunes that we've learned is a song learning method, and it is really similar to what she's talking about. You go through, you listen to the track and just look at the music. You don't sing. I mean, and there's specific steps, and you just do a section at a time. And by the time you get done, you can go back out and actually sing the song in the chorus, from just going from scratch, not ever knowing the song at all, to being able to sing it after that section rehearsal, going through that song learning method. And I know when we first started it, I was like, I'm not really that kind of a learner, but I'm getting on board more. It actually worked for a lot of people. I'm an audio listener. I mean, that's, but after we just did Lion Sleeps Tonight, and I used that method myself at home because we have a short time to learn the song, and it actually really does work very well.
Yeah, we have used that same method. Patty Hale shared it at a little sectional, and it's amazing how quickly. And what I found, the same thing that Deb was just talking about, I think, was when I realized, oh, that note right there is not what I expected it to be, especially singing lead. We're often singing the melody, which isn't always what we think it's going to be. And it's like, oh, which if I'd been singing words, I'm not sure I would have caught it quite as quickly. Where it's like, oh, okay, yes, I need to circle that one and make sure we're getting it. So I agree that it was interesting to me how well it worked, because I wasn't going to be a fan either. And it's like, oh, all right, let's do this. Interesting. Sonia.
On the idea of knee, like NEE, I just wanted to make sure I was hearing that. That would be the idea.
It's NI, which I think is the Italian knee sound. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. In Song of Seattle, and maybe Elizabeth Davies brought this when she was part of our chorus, was the her space, like church or her. So it's everything from that like maybe in past year, Kim Vaughn, she was a fan of like book. Same kind of resonant presence, shape, but her. So if Paula, our director, Paula, hears us sometimes maybe one or more sections going on a tangent, she'll kind of huddle up and bring us back into the her space. So just tossing that out there. Primetime has certainly adopted that. We'll do warm-ups in that space. So just another idea for that unified singing space.
And tell me how you manage or talk about the R and the, I mean, what is it that, because I can already hear my chorus going her. And so
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Well, Jan, it's a great question. I guess I would like to think I've got an answer. I'm not sure I've heard that being an issue. It was more versus other vowel shapes might have you going too wide, or if it were O, there's such a history, right? Old school of O versus, I'll sing my O through the her, O. So I've got teeth showing on every vowel, right? And we try for that in our chorus. So the her space, her. I remember Lori Lyford, I don't remember what the vowel was, but it was No, boy, it was one of our regionals and she was faculty and it was that similar methodology. So if the NI, the knee, so it's similar, but yeah, Jan, the R, her, it's not been an issue, so I'm not sure I can really speak to it.
Good.
It
Well, that
just
means,
It just seems to shore up and get our unified sound back on track and one thing I jotted down to share, and I don't want to get us off topic, but certainly, and maybe all of our directors here do this, but using the warm-ups to apply the warm-ups to things that our director leadership want us to be working on during that rehearsal. Paula is fantastic at that, and that was reinforced at Harmony College. I went to Rob Mance's session and he focused on warm-ups, and he talked a lot about that, going, use your warm-ups to convey things to be working on, during your rehearsal. So.
Yep, I like that. Another thing that we've been doing that's similar, that just to follow on to Sonia's, is we're working on as a team on a theme. If we're trying to work on something overall, maybe where it's vocal production, I mean, something very broad, vocal production, or we're working on breath for the next 6 weeks. And we talk about it regularly, and Margaret makes sure it comes up while we're rehearsing, and it's always part of warm up. So we have sort of we're trying to make a thematic thread throughout our rehearsal to reinforce whatever it is that we're seeking. And warm-ups are the place we started. Even the physical warm-ups, we're even talking about it when we can find those places. So trying to get it in people's minds versus, okay, now I did my warm-ups and I'm going to go back and sing the way I was singing before, because I don't see the connection, trying to make those connections for people. Excellent. What else do we have?
I was just going to share some of the classes that we're doing for summer school.
Great.
In Pride of Portland. One of them that Drew did was the practice of practicing. And the other one coming up is TE Tuner in practice. Practical music theory that Sandy Cahill is going to be doing. Performing with feeling, which we did a couple weeks ago. And then what is barbershop really? So I could ask Drew if we can share any of them.
Yeah. Anything he's comfortable with, I'm sure we would.
Yeah.
We would all love to see.
We do have, we do record, Zoom. Yeah. So that should be on there. Anyway, it just helps us feel like we're a team. So.
And you're taking an hour per rehearsal?
Yeah. Because right now we don't really need to work on anything yet. We don't have our songs for next regional or for international. So
I'm sure. Excellent.
Oh, and by the way, good luck to Alaska Sound for the upcoming international.
Yes. Ooh. Right. One of the things that somebody mentioned theory, and while I am not a music theory expert by any stretch of the imagination, so what I don't know what percentage you all have, but I have a number of leads who don't read music. They learn orally, but would like to read music. And some of them have just been doing it so long that they have figured it out. And they say they don't read music, but they do. They just don't know they do. But I have purchased, and I don't think it's it, Alfred's Essentials of Music Theory. It's a pretty standard music theory book. You can get it on Amazon for $8. And it is, it's a workbook you can work through, and I give people the option if somebody wants to do this. I've actually been teaching people one-on-one, because that's how I learn best. And I think it's kind of self-explanatory. Once you get them started, frankly, they don't need a ton of help. But it's just an opportunity to, learn about the staff, and then what are the notes, and what are note values. It's just the very basics of being able to look at my music and knowing, oh, that one is empty, so it's a half note or versus, oh, it's filled in, it's a quarter note. It's such a simple little tool. The two people that have gone through it have loved it. So I highly recommend it. He has a complete music theory that goes all the way up, but book one kind of just gets you through how to read music, which is what most folks want. Advanced music theory, our director teaches as well, but she doesn't have time to teach everybody. So that's the way I get it done personally. So Alfred is my guy. All righty. So what kinds of, oh, Sandy, go ahead.
I was just gonna put a plug in for Chuck, for our director. He does on Monday nights at 6:30. He does 5-minute music theory. It usually lasts a little longer than 5 minutes, but he has a series that he starts at the very beginning every week, and he goes through, I think there's 13 or 14 different sessions, and he goes all the way from the very basics all the way to very advanced. He's a self-confessed music theory nerd. But they're really entertaining, and he does that every Monday at 6:30 via Zoom. So
Oh. And that's open to everybody?
if you want it, we can send you the link so you can zoom in.
Yeah, that'd be great. If you send it to me, I can get it out to the group.
I will do that.
Perfect. Thank you. Fun. There. I can't imagine 5 minutes of anything. Actually, I can't imagine Chuck doing anything in 5 minutes, but that's a different topic. He must be very self-controlled. Sonia.
You know, a question on the music theory
No
topic
bananas.
and within our craft. Is the P theory, Pythagorean theory, is that still, you know, an embraced theory, or has our organization moved on and moved through and onto other theories about music theory? I feel like I hear less and less about P notes, but every once in a while, then there'll be an educator at a session that's still their jam. You know, that's still the Kool-Aid they sip. But I do feel like it's less and less, and I'm just curious what everyone here, what they're hearing and learning, and is that old school or is it still relevant?
I haven't heard it. I'm same as you. It just feels like it's, I hate to say this, but out of fashion, if you will. Not maybe that it's not still good ideas. It's simply, haven't seen it taught. I haven't seen it discussed. I haven't read any articles. Kind of the same thing. Anybody else?
Interesting, because we do still talk about the P theory tuning and stuff. We don't call it that necessarily, but we still will, like when the chords are out of balance, that's where we go, and that's usually what fixes it. And I see Carol raised her hand. Sorry, Carol.
We do that in Helena too. We use it.
So maybe it's just become what we do rather than a theory. I mean, maybe now it's just ingrained in what we do, and so it's less and less talked about, perhaps. It's become interesting. Is that, oh, Candace? Like I can't hear you.
Now can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to say that Chuck doesn't really say it's the Pythagorean theory or anything, but he just points out to us where those 7s are and where the 3s are. Those 3s should be high and the 7s should be low. And the rest of it is not as applicable, I don't think, but those are the 2 that he really emphasizes without really saying this is the Pythagorean tuning method.
And my understanding of it, frankly, is really basic, because it depends on the chord and the stack of the chord and where the chord, I mean, there are so many layers to that I'm like, and so to me, it's 2, 3, 6, 7 should all be sung a little higher and a little lighter But again, there's instantly an exception or instantly a reason. So it's sort of like singing against the drone pitch pipe. It's not a perfect tool. But I just appreciate the conversation and just kind of learning what are the trends for others. And we do the same thing. We kind of maybe don't always call it that anymore. But when something seems out of balance, right? Is it vowel, just volume out of one or more of the sections? Or is it your placement within the note? And if you just lean this way or this way, then now we're in tune.
Yep. And I think what we've perhaps what we've learned is now we know what to do. And it's baritones that you know, on the third usually just up notch, you know, up one notch, boom, like I said. And now I don't even think about that as much as it's just what we do. So interesting, yeah.
I was wondering what Peg has to say, because she's with our baritone section leader, and I think a lot of that applies. Well, it applies to everybody, but the baritones have the hardest job.
You know, I think that sometimes what we consider, we need to lift this or lift that. Sometimes it's a matter of you don't have enough space in the structure, and if you don't have that space, then you might put a lot of energy into forcing the note up higher, but it's still not good space. But if you have the good space, I think it's naturally going to click a lot easier than focusing on every single note. I know Deborah Lynn has told us with the bel canto method that if you are singing with good structure and good space, a lot of the problems that we spend a lot of time trying to fix, and you know, you compartmentalize all these problems, those problems just kind of go away because you are using your whole body. The whole mechanism is supporting those good sounds, and you don't have to necessarily say, well, this is a component and this is a component and this is a component, and let's go fix each one of these areas. You fix the structure and it magically makes lots of problems go away.
Right. Well said. Perfectly said.
Yes.
That shared, you know, the whole shared singing space, Peg, like you were saying, that what is your instrument doing? And instead of only projecting out forward, send your sound wide, including your ears, right? We talk about making sure you can hear your neighbor, that you aren't singing so loudly of whatever part you can't hear your neighbor left or right, your, you know, riser mate or whatever, that you can hear them. Otherwise, if you're singing so loudly you can't hear your neighbor, you might be singing too loud. So yeah, sharing your voice.
What else? This is all great. I'm sorry, I'm taking notes here. Oh, shoot, I had something to ask you.
Jen, I don't know if this is a segue to a different idea, just something that we do in Song of Seattle. Certainly as section leaders, we stay in tune, of course, not in tune, but a connection with our director, Paula, and things that she specifically has, you know, whether it's for sectionals, or as section leaders being very consistent as she's sharing something with the chorus, whether it's interpretive delivery or an approach to vowels, that as section leaders, right, we're remembering that and taking note of that and applying that within our section rehearsals. So being very consistent in your chorus culture of approach. So maybe that's very common sense. We're very intentional about it at Song of Seattle. As well as section leaders, we offer PVIs to anyone that wants one. So that's another way, in a very safe, fun, you know, one-on-one setting, to reinforce those approaches, that shared space, the tools. So a lot of PBIs in Song of Seattle.
Excellent. How many of you what have the section leaders doing PBIs?
At Pride of Portland, there are 4 people who did the PVIs and not necessarily a section leader.
I think we had a group of our music team. We had a group from the music team that volunteered to do PVIs, and we've gone through periods where we had structured PVIs that were going on. Right now, we're more in an unstructured time where if somebody were to ask for one, we would, you know, that group would do it or would refer them to somebody who would be able to.
We have a very new music team, including our director and all of us section leaders. And Hale's been around a while, but hasn't done a ton. And she will do some PVIs, but not all of, most of us are not comfortable that we really can create value for somebody or not screw them up in my case. Get a little worried. So what we've done as an alternative until we're more comfortable with it is we're lucky in that Ted Chamberlain is moving to Olympia. But we actually have him signed up for rehearsal nights. So, and the chorus can choose to take a lesson from him and pay for it themselves. And so he just is in our church that we rehearse in. And then, so one at a time, you go out at your lesson time during rehearsal night, take a half an hour PVI or an hour if you sign up for one, but most people are doing half an hour. So we make it available. We've arranged it for him to be there and make it available so that people can avail themselves of him regularly. We have him coming 3 months in a row, actually, this summer. And people are really excited and are willing to save up their money and take a lesson from him. He's $40 for 30 minutes right now. So that's kind of how we've gotten around the fact that we're just not comfortable, but we want to make sure people have, we're small, we're tiny, we don't have a lot of resources. So, but we want to make sure people have that opportunity. So that's how we've been dealing with it.
We did that too. We've done that a couple of times. And one of them didn't work super well because the music educator, who was fantastic, just didn't really understand barbershop. But the other one we used more understood barbershop, and that one worked a lot better.
Well, and that's one of the reasons we use Ted, because
yeah, exactly.
He's a barbershop baby. And he's also the king of vocal production, which is the thing that we're sort of, that's our theme for the year, is really working on our vocal production. And that is his forte. And so it really blends with what we're trying to do as a chorus. Although he can do just about anything, but with the director. So what else? I mentioned earlier, we have the training coming up in November, and I don't think it's a coincidence that Shelley's asked us to share a particular skill that you would like education on. My guess is that she might be working on her curriculum for November. So this is a great opportunity to influence our workshop in November. I'm going to be adding teaching PVIs if there's a possibility to get some training on that. What else that you guys want to work on?
Might be so this is already the people putting it on already planned, or are they also bringing in others?
I will tell you, I know very little other than there's a 2-day workshop, which tells me that it's going to be comprehensive. A workshop for section leaders, assistant directors, and visual communication leaders. November 17th and 18th virtually. That's what I know. So my guess is that she probably doesn't have a full curriculum yet. I'm guessing she's still working on that, given it's July.
Okay, I was just going to put a plug in for Deborah Lynn, Lynn. So if there's any interest in learning more about the bel canto methodology, she might be willing to do some little session if there's interest.
Well, I know Shelley has been reading that book because I've also got it.
There you go. So it may already be there. Who knows? Other topics that you want to make sure get covered?
This actually goes back to what you were saying before. Who is the coach that you were talking about?
Oh, Ted Chamberlain.
Thank you.
He is he's in PDX Voices. He's also down in Portland, but he's moving to Olympia from Ocean Shores and has is opening his vocal academy. He is a teacher by trade and I think is planning on going back to voice full time versus back in the public school system. All right. Sharon brought up a topic early on when we were talking about challenges about encouraging and motivating people to rehearse outside of your chorus night. Have any of you had success with that? And is there any strategies that your course has been using that you've seen some?
Well, one of our, you may know her, Julie Miklick. She's in our chorus. Anyway, she, every other Tuesday at 6:30 or 7, anybody who wants to come to her house and sing, to work on the music is welcome. And she lives down, she lives further south from Portland, but she gets quite a few people from that area. And a couple of people even came down from Vancouver to where she lives in Aurora. So that's very helpful. I used to do the Zoom at noon, but trying to sing, even though everybody's muted, trying to sing to a recording is really bad, especially if we keep going down in pitch. So we stopped that. Our sectionals are open not only to basses, but to any other parts who want to join us. And that's same with any of the other sections if they want other parts to join them. So our sectionals are open to everybody.
So you have outside sectionals?
Yes,
regularly?
yes. And usually they're on a weeknight. Sometimes we've had them in the afternoon outside, or and we make it a social gathering. So it's like a party and we get to sing.
And is that you do that regularly or scheduled or just sporadic, or?
It depends. It depends.
Okay.
It depends on our if we're available, because there are 2 section leaders for basses, and it just depends.
Okay.
Who's
Any other strategies anybody's got? So other than,
I have
oh, go ahead, Sandy.
I have a question, more of a question than a suggestion. Is does anybody have any tricks or to get folks to use their recordings to actually record? I personally record every rehearsal, I mean the whole rehearsal, and I go home and listen to it, and because you can't remember everything that was said. There's things that said that you might not have caught. So for me, that's a real tool, but getting others to use their recording, they all, oh, it's so awful, it's horrible, can't listen to myself. So
what we've done, well, first of all, our rehearsals are all recorded because they're on Zoom. And when Dale Syverson was coaching us for our retreat, we had everybody, I said, okay, basses, I want everybody to record yourself and just send it to me. Don't listen to it. Just send it to me. And then, and most everybody did. And then after Dale Syverson, I said, okay, everybody, all basses, please record yourself. Don't listen to it. Just send it. And my goodness, the improvement was fantastic. But yeah, if they have to listen to themselves first before they send it, they're not going to do it. When Ryan was directing, he had us all record and said, okay, send it now. While you're at rehearsal, send it now. And yeah, some of them were pretty bad. But nobody likes listening to themselves. I hate listening to myself. But I think that's how we get people to do it, is like, don't listen to it. Just have the director say, okay, get your recorders out, record, and send it to your section leader now. So
Also, Sandy, for folks to listen to recordings, I've encouraged, if you don't feel like you know it yet, you don't want to record yourself because you don't, and I don't really want them listening to their own recording if they don't know it yet either. I said, hand your phone to somebody who does know that's comfortable. Hand your phone to me, and we have folks in this section, and I said, yeah, I'll sing into your phone if you want. And then I find that then they're willing to start, they kind of gets them more in the habit of being able to then manage it. And it's okay, now, next time you record yourself but not, not everybody learns that way. And so
I stand next to a queen, Kim,
that's nice.
which I'm so lucky. Yay.
There you go, my phone.
And she's had me record, and I felt so honored that, wow, she's asking me to record the song for her. I'm not worthy, She's the nicest lady too. I just adore her.
That's very cool. I know Patty Hale stood next to her in ovation and had the same reaction. She goes, I was so excited just to stand by her. She was so nice.
She's asking me for advice. Cool.
We've been given the advice sometimes when we want them to actually listen to the recordings and get something from it is to, okay, you have to listen to the recording 3 times. The first time through, you can say, oh, I hate listening to myself sing, whatever, because you're not going to listen the first time through. The second time through, focus on, maybe you're going to focus on breaths. The third time through, maybe you're going to focus on some other element or the overall. But anyway, just kind of having a plan in place for how to deal with it when you don't like to listen to yourself.
And did they provide that feedback back to their section leader, or that's just sort of on the?
That was just a training soundbite that we've been given a couple of times by a couple of people. And I think it's helped me. I don't mind listening to myself sing anymore, but listening to it once doesn't really do you any good. So it's good to have a goal of what is it I'm listening for.
That's a great idea. Thanks. I'm gonna try that.
Yep.
I'm like you too. I know years ago I used to hate listening to myself, and I actually ran across some cassette tapes cleaning out stuff, and I was listening to a little pickup quartet that we'd been practicing, and I actually was playing it going, wow, listen to this. And I'm like, wow, you know what? That's not really that bad. I could have done better there, but this part was really pretty good. And when you start looking at it from that, it's like, well, maybe I'm not as bad as I think I am. You start, and the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. So
as soon as you figure out that the voice in your head is different than the voices that's coming out, and you're okay with the voice that's coming out, then you can start listening. Like Deb says, you can start listening past who is that person.
maybe they need to pretend that they're listening to somebody else. Oh, this is Sally, not me. I'll listen to Sally, and I can listen to that.
Yeah, but then you'd probably say, oh, she's awful.
Never do that.
Yeah, and we
Only
tend to
to
do
yourself.
that. Yeah, we tend to do that to ourselves, right? So one of the things we're really focusing on in our course, and we have been for a number of years, is the idea of positive talk and positive reinforcement. And this Peg and I are reading a book that the music team was asked to read, and that's all part of it. Is focusing on the negative and what you did wrong is just going to reinforce doing that. So we want to focus on the positive and trying to get our singers to make that interior voice behave and stop being negative to our own selves is really huge.
Be as kind to ourselves as we are to other people.
Exactly.
Indeed. All righty. Well, I see we are coming to the end of our hour. You guys are pretty easy to facilitate. She's right.
I have to go.
Yep.
I have another Zoom to start. Bye.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thanks for participating. All right. Anything for the good of the order before we depart?
No, thanks for taking over, Jan, for Shelley.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you. I've learned some stuff. I'm going to take it to my course.
You too.
I just love this. I love these sessions and appreciate everyone's time. Thank you, Jan, and love learning from the group. It's really great.
We were just talking how some of us weren't even getting the announcement. I didn't even know these were happening. So yay.
I see you are recording, so where can we find your recording?
My instructions are to give it to Sandy Smith, who will make it available. My guess is that she will post it on the region site, but we'll send an email out to
Okay.
that same list,
Okay.
along with, there was somebody sending me something.
And Sandy's on vacation and she'll be back on Tuesday, so.
Yes. So Kathy's going to check about her curriculum and see if she can share it. And did I write it down? Somebody remind me what we're supposed to be sending out on email?
Wow.
We have good memories, but they're short.
All right. Feel free to, well, I'll listen to the recording, make sure I get it out. I know there was something we were going to send you, so I'll make sure that happens. Because I don't remember what it was.
Okay,
Alrighty. Terrific. Thank you all.
thank you.
And so we are off for the third quarter. Am I wrapping up or no meeting fourth quarter, as we will have the workshop in November. So the next networking this session is January 6th at 9 a.m. We are alternating between 9 and 10 to accommodate different time zones.
Okay,
So November 17, 18 is the workshop. January 6th at 9 is the next networking.
Thank you, Jan.
Gotcha. Thank you all.
Thanks,
Have a
Jen.
good day. Thank you.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good one.